Hi, and welcome to one of a four-part digestive health virtual summit. Today we're going to be talking about GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease, and I'm here with Erika Jacobson, who's a registered dietitian nutritionist. She works with folks with gut issues, including GERD, and we're excited to have her talk about something she's passionate about, something she's an expert in. My name is Jack. I'm the founder of Drink Wholesome. We make protein powders for sensitive stomachs, and for that reason, we're interested in everything gut health. So without further ado, Erika, welcome. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, why you do what you do, and why it matters.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Erika Jacobson. I'm a functional dietitian and founder of Erika Jacobson Nutrition and Wellness, which is a private practice that helps people heal chronic digestive issues like bloating, constipation, and GERD using a root cause approach. I became interested in GERD because I kept seeing clients who were told that the only option was long-term use of acid-reducing medications like PBIs. But the truth is GERD has many potential root causes like low stomach acid, SIBO, gut motility issues that often go completely unaddressed in conventional care. So I'm really passionate about helping people finally understand kind of what's driving their symptoms and empowering them with targeted nutrition, lifestyle strategies, and supplement support so they can get long-term relief without being stuck on medication forever.
So if any of that sounds interesting to you, we'll make sure to circle back to Erika, how you can get in touch with her, and ways you can work with her. But before we do that, I want to touch on GERD, I want to touch on GER, I want to touch on acid reflux, I want to touch on heartburn, because there are a lot of conditions, symptoms, terms that are used to refer to this condition. Can you provide some clarity? What is GERD and how is it different from any of the or all of the different things that I've mentioned?
Sure. Acid reflux or heartburn or gastroesophageal reflux, that's kind of the basic symptoms. So the warmth, the heartburn, the discomfort that we can feel in the esophagus as a result of acid reflux. And then GERD is the more chronic or severe form of that condition. And then you have Barrett's esophagus, and that's a potential complication of long-standing unmanaged GERD. And that's where that esophageal lining begins to change in response to repeated acid exposure.
So when you have clients coming to you with GERD symptoms, like they are experiencing acid reflux, how often do they actually have GERD, the disease?
So it really depends. Sometimes clients are experiencing a flare of reflux symptoms, and that's not typical for them. They're really just starting to experience GERD. It hasn't become chronic or frequent to the point where it is GERD yet. So it really depends on where on the spectrum someone might be. Someone can experience acid reflux just at a few days every so once in a while and have a flare. That might not necessarily be GERD if it's not chronic.
I read that 1 in 5, 20% of Americans have GERD. Is that what you see in your practice?
Well, because I see just primarily digestive symptoms and issues, I see a lot more of that. A lot of my clients do come to me with GERD or reflux symptoms.
Or reflux symptoms. And is there any overlap between GERD and other digestive conditions like IBD, IBS, etc.?
Absolutely. Yeah. So reflux is more of a symptom of something that's often going on deeper within the gut. So we can see GERD or reflux as a symptom of SIBO or H. pylori or slow motility. So definitely, I rarely see acid reflux as the only issue going on.
We work with folks who have chronic digestive issues and sensitive stomachs, and many of them, I've noticed, have GERD and are looking for ways to eat that limit acid reflux or prevent acid reflux from happening. So I do want to touch on what your recommendations for food, snacks, meal planning, meal timing are for someone with GERD.
So a GERD-friendly day of eating, it doesn't have to be super boring or bland or restrictive. It's really about choosing foods that are easy to digest, anti-inflammatory, and supportive of overall gut health. So for breakfast, that could look like a smoothie with a gut-friendly protein powder. Love Drink Wholesome. That could be a great option, especially if we're adding in other nourishing ingredients, spinach, banana, chia seeds. Another great option might be like a veggie omelet with sourdough toast and avocado. You could do an oatmeal with flax seeds and apples and chia seeds and even add your protein powder there. And then another simple option might be like cottage cheese, berries, banana, or like walnuts. So those are some like GERD friendly breakfast options. And then for lunch, it could maybe look like a roasted veggie bowl where you have roasted veggies, a good quality protein, salmon or chicken, avocado, a drizzle of olive oil, and then fresh herbs can be a really nice way to add flavor without triggering symptoms. Basil, dill, cilantro are great. If you're looking for something more simple, maybe a turkey and like veggie wrap with arugula, avocado, turkey slices, or like tuna or egg salad with seed crackers and veggie sticks. So those are some breakfast and lunch options.
When is the best time to eat breakfast if you have GERD? Is it right away? Is it before you drink coffee? Should you hydrate first? When I experience acid reflux, I generally experience it first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. I don't know if that's normal or not.
Exactly. So having an empty stomach can be a big trigger for reflux. So I definitely recommend eating as soon as possible within waking, definitely within like an hour, and then definitely hydrating first, eating, and then that coffee afterwards.
3 big meals a day, 6 smaller meals a day, snacking. How does the size and the frequency of the meal impact symptoms?
Yeah, so you want to be mindful of the timing. You don't want to go really long periods between meals because again, that's when you have a completely empty stomach. It's more acidic. That can trigger heartburn. You don't want to overdo it if your stomach is really full. That puts pressure on that lower esophageal sphincter and can cause reflux. And then also I find that grazing also isn't really helpful because you're not giving your body a chance to digest, so that can trigger reflux. So often a sweet spot is like eating something every 3 to 4 hours. So that could look like, 6 or 5 like smaller meals throughout the day, or it could look like a balanced breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then snacks in between. 3 to 4 hours, think of that as just like a good starting point. Experiment, see what works for you.
Great. And I want to hear what your recommendations are for a GERD-friendly dinner. I also want to learn when the best time to eat dinner is if you have GERD. I see a lot of people on the internet talking about meal timing, specifically the timing of supper or dinner for someone with GERD and how important that is.
Dinner, that can be simple as well. That can look like a sheet meal with roasted veggies, potatoes, a good quality protein source like chicken or fish. I also love like a veggie stir fry when you can add chicken or shrimp, and coconut aminos is a really nice GERD-friendly way to season things like a stir fry. You can do like an arugula or a fennel salad with beans if that's well tolerated, or a good quality animal protein, avocado, and quinoa. So definitely including the protein, fat, carb combo for good blood sugar balance, and making sure that you're staying away from big triggers.
Gotcha. And don't eat and get in bed. Don't eat and lie down.
So eating before bed, yeah, we definitely do want to avoid eating meals right before bed. That can be key for managing GERD. I usually recommend like a 2 to 3 hour gap between your last meal and dinner. When you lie down with food still in your stomach, there's a higher chance of that reflux. And then that sphincter also naturally relaxes at night, and that makes it easier for acid to come up as well.
I, again, sell protein powder, and traditionally, some folks recommend that folks looking to gain weight or build muscle, not that we're in the business of weight gain or muscle building, but folks recommend that in order to best build muscle or gain weight, you should drink a big protein shake right before you go to bed. Is that a myth? Is that a great way to trigger acid reflux? What are your thoughts?
It's also pretty individualized. So if you're someone who's trying to build muscle and you want to try incorporating a smoothie before bed, seeing how that feels, but I would keep it really simple. You don't want a lot of like peanut butter in there. Just keep it really simple with like a base and then the protein powder, but still try to leave a bit of a gap. So don't drink it and then lay down right after. It's about experimenting with what works for you. But I would say in general, big meals before bed should be avoided with GERD.
Great. And all of the meals you've outlined are balanced, nutritionally balanced, meaning there's a little bit of healthy fat, complex carb, lean protein, fiber. But I hear a lot of people talk about the importance of limiting fatty foods in your diet if you have GERD. Are they talking about all fatty foods, specific types of fatty foods like fried foods? How much truth is there to the claim that fatty foods are bad for people with GERD?
Well, fat can definitely slow stomach emptying, but I don't see that the healthy fats are the ones that are to cause GERD or reflux symptoms. So if we're thinking like avocado, nuts, those are usually tolerated great. It's typically really oily, fried, fatty foods that are more to trigger your reflux.
Good to know. I'm very mindful of what I eat and when I eat because I do, again, experience acid reflux from time to time. I would describe myself as someone with a sensitive stomach, but I don't have any persistent or chronic gut issues. When you see clients with GERD, what are the leading causes of acid reflux or GERD itself? I know there are some common ones include obesity and pregnancy and bacterial overgrowth. What do you see in your practice?
Yeah, the big ones that I see in my practice are poor digestion. So maybe we're not making actually enough stomach acid or digestive enzyme output or bile flow to properly digest our foods, slow motility if our food is not properly moving through the digestive tract and it's kind of sitting in your stomach for a long time, that can certainly cause reflux. H. pylori is a big trigger of reflux that I see in my practice. SIBO is another big one, so a bacterial overgrowth, lots of gas production in the small intestine that pushes up against the stomach and that sphincter causing reflux, and then also gut microbiome imbalances as well.
So gut health is super important for many reasons, one of which being avoiding acid reflux and similar symptoms.
Absolutely.
If someone comes to you and they have chronic gut issues, they've been diagnosed with a bacterial overgrowth like SIBO or bacterial imbalance, what is your recommended course of action?
So if they have a bacterial overgrowth as their root cause, we still want to work on digestion top down. So seeing why they have a bacterial overgrowth. Is their food not being digested properly? Is there issues with, again, stomach acid, motility? Looking at the root causes of the SIBO as a big role in the root cause approach, because if you can't just treat the SIBO and you can't just treat the reflux, you have to treat the underlying cause of those.
Saying identifying and addressing the underlying cause is important, but in the meantime, how often do you recommend PPIs, medications, or maybe supplements to help with stomach acid levels, enzymes, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't recommend PPIs as a dietitian. I can't recommend medications, but there are certainly several more like natural remedies that we can use, supplements for sure, to help alleviate symptoms. Digestive bitters are one of them, and those are really great because they actually help to gently support your body's natural digestion. So if GERD is a result of actually low stomach acid or poor digestion, then digestive bitters can actually be really helpful. Like DGL or slippery elm, those are really soothing mucilaginous herbs that can help to reduce inflammation, coat the esophagus, ease discomfort, and encourage repair. Zinc carnosine is another one that I often use that can support tissue healing of the stomach and the esophagus. Ginger is another really wonderful one, and that can help to move food, support motility along the digestive system quicker. So then if you feel full all the time and that's a GERD trigger for you, that can be a really good one. And then I often use alginates as well, and that can act as kind of like a raft or a protective barrier to help keep acid from reaching the esophagus. So as far as like GERD or acid reflux supplements, I'd say those are my go-tos.
I'm not familiar with alginates. Is that, as the name suggests, like an algae-based
It is
product?
algae-based. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a supplement. It comes in like liquid and capsule form.
Very interesting. I heard that chewing gum can help with GERD symptoms because it promotes saliva production, which neutralizes stomach acid. Is that a myth?
I've heard that as well. I honestly can't, it's not something that I recommend often, and I haven't really seen that to be helpful for my clients or have had them tell me that that's helpful. So I honestly don't have a good answer for that one. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I always have chewing gum. I chew like
Do
a
you find
cow.
that it helps?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Chewing gum is
But
great
that
because there's
is,
also a lot of other things in it that can trigger symptoms, I find.
yeah, well, I think this is mint. Yeah, this is mint, spearmint, chewing gum, and mint is a common trigger for GERD, are there any foods that you recommend folks with GERD absolutely avoid? Like mint.
Like mittens. So you go to the doctor, you get diagnosed with GERD, you're put on PPI, and they're going to give you this long list of foods to avoid. I generally recommend avoiding trying to get in the trap of let me avoid all these foods forever just in case they cause reflux for me, because that can lead to a lot of restriction and it's really individualized. But there are foods that are known to weaken that esophageal sphincter. Again, those fried or greasy foods, chocolate, coffee, mint, like you mentioned, sugar, alcohol, garlic, and onion. And then there are foods that can be more irritating: citrus, tomato, spicy foods, coffee, like bubbles or carbonated beverages. So it's a long list of foods, and there's probably even more. But in general, I recommend maybe trying a few weeks without them and then seeing how you respond individually to each of those foods. So then you don't have this long list of foods that you have to avoid forever if you don't really have to.
That's such a bummer because that's a fun list of foods.
The fun list
Or
of foods, exactly.
A tasty
Yeah.
list of foods.
Exactly. So for you to put all of that out, that's no fun forever.
I've had to think about that a fair amount because we use a lot of cocoa powder in our products, and chocolate, cocoa can be a GERD trigger. That said, we have customers with GERD who use our cocoa powders without any issues whatsoever, or they use our chocolate flavored protein powders without any issue whatsoever. So to your point, it's very individualized just from my experience as someone who's in the food supplement space. And yeah, the no-go list is not universally applicable,
100%.
which is great advice. Are there any resources online, in person, that you recommend to your clients or you would recommend to someone with GERD? Obviously, they can work with someone like you, but are there any other tools or individuals that maybe have an online presence that would be particularly helpful?
Yeah, so for anyone looking to kind of optimize their digestive health, I do like the book Digestive Wellness by Elizabeth Lipsky. It's a really wonderful resource for gut health and goes into GERD as well. My mentor, Erin Holt, she has a really wonderful podcast, the Functional Nutrition Podcast, Funk with a K. So that a lot of great resource on gut health as well as GERD. And then as far as working with someone, yeah, it takes years for new research to be implemented into mainstream practice. So if you're really tired of just getting the old, here's a PPI, cut out these foods, that's where partnering with that functional dietitian can be so powerful, because they can really help you explore those root causes beyond just managing symptoms with medication.
If you're like me, GERD is inconvenient, but I understand that, well, I actually don't. I do not have GERD, but acid reflux, heartburn is inconvenient, it's uncomfortable. But for someone with GERD, they can feel like handicapped. Eating, being can be stressful. And so, yeah, if you are sick and tired of feeling that way, living like that, absolutely do get in touch with someone. It's probably going to be an investment of time, right? I don't think you're going to cure your symptoms overnight. It's probably going to require addressing those root causes and maybe changing your lifestyle or your diet.
Absolutely.
With that said, how hard is it to successfully manage GERD? If you're someone who has GERD, you're feeling down, you're feeling stuck, how possible is it for you to turn things around?
Many of my clients working on the root causes, digging deeper into their nutrition, their lifestyle, their stress, can absolutely turn their GERD around and get off of their medications or significantly reduce them. So it doesn't mean that, you are stuck forever. It's about figuring out your unique triggers, getting under that root cause, supporting your gut overall, and then working on those root causes instead of only just managing or suppressing the symptoms. You really can see a big difference with GERD and reflux.
And is there a typical timeline?
It's so different based on everyone, but some of my clients experience, if lifestyle and nutrition are their triggers and we make those changes, it could take a couple weeks or a month to feel much better. If there's a lot deeper stuff going on, maybe it's SIBO, maybe it's H. pylori, that could definitely take longer, a few months.
I'm very grateful that I don't have GERD, and I'm also very happy that products like Drink Wholesome are able to help people with GERD. Are there any specific brands that you recommend to folks with GERD, brands that you love? They could also just be brands that you feel do a really good job of supporting people with gut issues.
Well, Drink Wholesome is honestly one of my go-tos for gut issues and like protein powders for sure. If FODMAPs are a big issue for someone, then I recommend the FODI brand quite often. For Siete, for like those the almond flour tortillas and the grain-free, gluten-free options. I like the Paleo Valley brand for like their protein powders. I think those are awesome, as well as like beef sticks. So I'd say those are some of my go-tos.
Great. We get asked all the time to make other gut-friendly products, and unfortunately, we don't have the manufacturing capabilities to make everything that people want. So we'd like to be able to direct them toward other brands. I think, the natural food space, the better for you food space, it's kind of like a tide that lifts all boats. So we like to see other people do well. And it's really interesting because gut health, the intersection of gut health and food, like packaged food, is fascinating today. It's a growing space, a really dynamic intersection, and I just feel fortunate to have landed there, I guess. And it's so fun to be able to connect with people like you. Before we wrap things up and learn a little bit more about how folks can work with you, I want to do a little myth busting. I already touched on the chewing gum. The results are inconclusive. Are there any other GERD myths out there that you would like to bust once and for all?
I'd say the biggest GERD myth for me and what I experience is that GERD is simply caused by too much stomach acid, and that reducing acid is the only answer. In reality, like we've talked about, GERD is often much more complex. Many of my clients actually do have low stomach acid and they have GERD or reflux. That leads to that poor digestion I mentioned, so you're not properly digesting your food. That increases gas. That gas creates pressure in the stomach and then pushes contents up, causing reflux. So a PPI is actually doing nothing to resolve that, rather than just masking the acid so you're not feeling the reflux. So I'd say that's the biggest misconception or myth, is that GERD equals or reflux equals too much stomach acid.
So PPI is a proton pump inhibitor,
Yep,
and it just reduces stomach acid production.
exactly.
Is that right? Indirectly, but it does.
Yeah.
Does that create other issues? Because stomach acid plays a functional role in the body, in digestion, and I feel like if you're reducing your stomach acid levels, I'm thinking out loud here, but if you're reducing your stomach acid levels, you just might not be digesting food as well, which then, right, can lead to increased gas production and then cause GERD for a different reason.
Absolutely. Yeah. So then you get things like the bacterial overgrowth and the SIBO, which then increases GERD. You're getting things like nutrient deficiencies. You're not properly absorbing protein. So there definitely is repercussions of long-term acid reflux medications. And then unfortunately, you get stuck on them if that's like the only intervention that's being done.
I know that they are very powerful and they can provide short-term, even long-term relief, but many medications are often a band-aid, especially when it comes to digestion or digestive issues. And so thinking about what your lifestyle is like, what your diet looks like that's really, you just have to do the work.
That's
Yeah, that's my honest advice. I think about gut health all the time. I work with people like you, although from a different angle, who have digestive issues. And at the end of the day, like, medications can help some people generally in the short term, but root causes.
Yeah,
That's what
yes,
it's all about.
absolutely. Definitely have a time and place, but if we're not doing nutrition, lifestyle, root cause work, it's kind of a dead end.
I know that's not what necessarily people want to hear because, again, it's an investment. And the best day to start was yesterday. But it's the truth. It's the truth. And we were sounding like broken records. But at least we're, giving honest and helpful advice. I saw on TikTok that, someone in scrubs with a stethoscope around their neck was what I thought was providing like educational content, but then they ended up pitching this funky looking product. It's kind of like a shoehorn that you use. You're supposed to lie on your back, like prone, and
Okay.
use it to move food through your digestive system.
Oh.
It's like a sort of a spatula that you like scrape down your body. Does that sound ridiculous to you?
That sounds painful and ridiculous.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you need to. I mean, if that's, there's something truly wrong with motility, and I don't think a spatula is the answer. There's got to be some other work done to support motility and the movement of food through your digestive tract, which should be a natural process.
Okay, good to know. I wasn't going to buy one. I just thought I'd ask. Well, Erika, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for the insights. I know this is going to be helpful to a lot of people. And if folks would like to connect with you to learn more, to get to those root causes, where can they find you? How can they work with you? What sort of services do you offer?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. This has been such a fun talk. If you're ready to kind of stop guessing, finally get to the root of your digestive symptoms, I would love to support you. If you're starting out, you can explore free resources and gut health education on my website and Instagram. My website's erikajacobsonnutrition.com. My Instagram is erikajacobson_RD. And then if you're looking for more personalized support, my one-to-one program, The Supported Gut Solution, is a high-touch, personalized program where we really utilize functional testing, targeted supplements, realistic nutrition and lifestyle changes to help you heal your gut and feel like yourself again. So you get a tailored plan custom to your unique body, symptom, and needs, plus the ongoing support every step of the way so you don't feel like you're in this alone, and make sure you're seeing real progress. So to learn more or apply to work with me, you can head to erikajacobsonnutrition.org. Send me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to connect. Again, it's erikajacobson_RD.
Amazing. Thank you again. If you enjoyed this conversation, we do have 3 other conversations with other gut health experts. So I hope that you go and check those out, and have a great day. If you have GERD, good luck.
Thanks so much.